In the bear market, I've made over 100% gains on a few different ideas. And today I'm sharing my top plays that have done over 100% and where I think they'll go from here. The first play that I've made over 100% on has been GNS. I first talked about GNS back in my video titled Revealing My Entire Portfolio for the First Time Ever. My belief is come next bull run, projects like GMX and GNS will explode in value. If they're working great in the bear market, then they should do insanely well during the bull market. And GNS is an on-chain perpetuals platform similar to GMX. Perpetuals involve leveraging up a trade. For example, if I thought that ETH was going to explode in value soon, I could lever up a trade on GNS up to 150x. That would mean that, for example, if I stuck $1,000 onto GNS and I levered it up to 150x, it would be the equivalent of if I had 150,000. And so any gains I made, so say ETH went up 10%, I wouldn't just make $10, which would be, I wouldn't just make $100, which would be 10%. Sorry, I'm bad at math, which would be 10% of 1,000. I would make 10% of 150,000, which would be $15,000, I think. So I would end up making $15,000 on $1,000, holding just $1,000 on GNS, which is crazy. But on the other end of the spectrum, obviously, if the price dips even a little bit, I get fully liquidated, meaning my $1,000 goes to zero and I have nothing left. So leveraging is awesome. It's super amazing if you get it right, but it's also insane dangerous. Like I have tried doing, I'm not very good at leveraging. I've tried doing leveraging. Every time I've done it, I've ended up losing. I ended up giving up because it was just so ridiculously difficult to do. But still, there are just a ridiculous amount of degens in the crypto market that maybe they're better than me at it. Maybe they just want to try their luck. Maybe they're just full on gambling and they're just like, let me see what will happen. Maybe I'll turn $1,000 into $15,000. I don't know the reasons, whatever reasons everyone's using leverage, but the point is that people do use leverage. And I imagine in a bull market, the people will use leverage a lot more because prices will be going up a lot more. And so, I feel like you'll win a little bit more. And I think there will just be more people willing to risk it. And to give you an idea of how many people are using platforms like this, GNS has surpassed $30 billion in volume to date. And since that video where I talked about GNS, I'm currently sitting up 101% on my investment, turning every $1,000 invested into $2,010. Coming up, GNS is getting a distribution of ARB tokens. They're going to be able to distribute to their community, as well as they have a couple partnerships that they're forming. Honestly, it's kind of hard to say with GNS where I think it's going long term. It's a great platform, but it's overshadowed by GMX, which continues to dominate the perpetual space. I'm still holding my tokens because I think in general, perpetuals will do really well during the next bull run. I just don't know how well in comparison to GMX or, other perpetuals GNS will end up doing. That remains to be seen, but I'm willing to, wait and find out what happens. Next up is Magic from treasure.lol. I first mentioned Magic back in the video if I only had $1,000 to invest, but I've talked about it quite a bit since then in other videos. Magic is the token for treasure.lol, and it's basically a GameFi platform and marketplace on Arbitrum that connects different GameFi games together in sort of like this shared universe. In my podcast episode with Noah Bragg, we talked about how GameFi could potentially be the next big catalyst to onboard millions of users into the crypto space. And it certainly has the potential as gaming is massive. It's bigger than, I always say this, it's bigger than Hollywood and all of sporting combined. It's a massive, massive industry and it only continues to grow at a breakneck speed. So it would make sense that, if crypto were to get GameFi right, that this would onboard a ton more users into the crypto space. And with my Magic token, I was able to make 131%, turning every $1,000 invested into $2,310. As far as what the future holds for this one, again, I'm not completely sure. I'm definitely bullish GameFi long term. I'm just not completely confident that it's going to be ready come next bull run. It's definitely possible that we have like a killer game that explodes in popularity and the GameFi space takes off during the next bull run. But overall, I just think there's a ton of work needed to be done in the GameFi space before it sees real world, mainstream adoption. Now, that definitely doesn't mean we won't see GameFi tokens do really well during the next bull run. I'm actually pretty confident that we will see quite a few tokens do really well during the next bull run. I just, again, don't think that during the next bull run, we'll see the mainstream gaming industry adopt NFTs and GameFi technology into major AAA games. As far as with Treasure, I would guess long term during the next bull run, it definitely has the potential to do really, really well. During bull runs, prices go to ridiculous, often absurd levels, and I wouldn't be surprised if Magic was able to get a lot of momentum during the next bull run, considering the token's name is Magic. It almost has like a meme coin quality to it, even though it's definitely not a meme coin. Don't get me wrong, Magic's great. But it almost has like a meme coin kind of quality to it. It seems like one of those things that people are kind of dumb when they invest, and they be like, oh, I'm going to invest in Magic token because it says Magic. And people do that kind of stuff in a bull run. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not condoning it, saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying people definitely do stupid stuff like that during a bull run. So it would shock me if Magic, had this epic run up that makes no sense during the next bull run. Currently it's sitting at around 500 million in fully diluted value, and it definitely wouldn't shock me next bull run if we saw it, at something like 5 billion in value. That'd be a 10x from here. That wouldn't shock me or really even surprise me if we saw something like that. And maybe on the much less likely side, but still within the realm of possibilities, would be that we see Magic go up to something like 50 billion. Obviously, absurd. Should not be at $50 billion. Some of you guys are like, that's just crazy. And I agree. That is literally crazy. But that's assuming like it gets some sort of like meme coin quality to it, right? Like where people really latch on to it. Kind of like a lot of people latch on to like Cardano. A lot of people latch on to XRP. Not saying anything negative about the communities. I'm just saying they do have a lot of tribalism around them. And a lot of people, for some reason, like almost like a cult following. I could see Magic almost having like a cult following and that driving up the price to ridiculous, unsustainable levels during the next bull run. Doge went to $80 billion during the last bull run. So really anything's within the realm of possibilities. If you're saying that's not possible, then I don't even know what to tell you at this point because people are ridiculous, sometimes stupid during bull runs. And really anything is possible. So, maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. Definitely, certainly not saying it will go to 50 billion, not saying it will go to 5 billion. I'm not claiming any of those things. I'm just saying, in my head, those are definitely potentially things that could happen. The 50 billion is definitely a really low likelihood. But who knows next bull runs? For me, it's worth holding on to the Magic token to see and find out. Number 3, GMX. I first mentioned GMX back in my video titled Testing 7 New Passive Income Ideas, and I talked about it in countless other videos as well. GMX has been an absolute goldmine in passive income coming from real yield, and has been one of my favorite projects during the bear market. It's another perpetuals platform on Arbitrum, and it's currently like the king of all perpetuals platforms, sitting at 124 billion in total lifetime volume. And I've ended up making around 140% on my GMX holdings, and that's not including all the monthly passive income that I get from staking my GMX and all the rewards I get from, the platform fees and yield. And 140% turns every $1,000 invested into $2,400. As far as the future goes for GMX, I'm high conviction on it being extremely bright. I can't even imagine what sort of volume something like GMX might see during a full-fledged bull run. And like I said earlier, perpetuals might be doing great during a bear market, but I believe during a bull market, they'll see absolutely insane volume and fees. Meaning not only should passive income increase to those holding GMX, but it's likely that more people are going to want to hold GMX to earn a piece of that passive income. Currently, GMX is a $700 million market cap. And I would say 10 billion is completely possible during the next bull run. And even though that's my personal opinion, I think a lot of people would say that's definitely within the realm of possibility as far as GMX goes. On the upper end for GMX and like maybe the more, less likely scenario, it's kind of hard to say how high GMX could go. I think I'll always point back to Doge and be like, Doge hit $80 billion. So, really anything could hit $80 billion, which isn't totally true. Obviously, that was a really unique, rare circumstance, but maybe it'd be better to compare something like GMX to something like AVAX. AVAX or Avalanche Network ended up hitting around 30 billion. And I would say maybe it's not completely ridiculous to think that during a hyped up bull run, GMX ends up hitting something similar. It ends up hitting around $30 billion. Again, not super likely, but definitely, within the realm of possibilities. And that would be a 42x from current prices, turning every $1,000 invested into around $42,000, which definitely isn't bad, especially considering the amount of rewards you'd possibly be making at that price point. By the way, I have an affiliate link for GMX in the description of this video if you want to check it out. Next up is Redacted Cartel's Butterfly token, which I first mentioned in my video, top 10 cryptos most likely to 100x. But if you're someone who's a member of the Obsidian Council, you would have heard about it months ago back when I first got into it. it, as it was one of the tokens that I mentioned in our monthly research reports. And if you're interested in checking that out, there's a link in the description below. And so far from Butterfly, I've made around 175% holding it, and that's not including the rewards I get from staking, turning every $1,000 invested into $2,750. Redacted is a meta governance platform that has a range of market solutions for on-chain governance. They're a really small project sitting at just 56 million in market cap currently, which is by far the smallest on the list. As far as what the future holds for this project, they recently announced a stablecoin called Dinero, which is an over-collateralized stablecoin backed by Ethereum block space, which is a really interesting concept and definitely has me intrigued. And I believe that that concept alone, if successful, could propel Butterfly from a $50 million market cap to over $500 million, which would be a 10x, turning every $1,000 invested into $10,000. Which again, if you want to hear about these ideas early, I publish monthly research reports in the Obsidian Council where I talk about all the different things that I'm looking at and all the different things that I'm jumping into, as well as I publish monthly airdrop guides. We have in-person meetups, and we just dropped a full course called the Airdrop Masterclass that's designed to take somebody with no experience and get them started airdrop hunting, and that's included free for all members of the Obsidian Council. Last up is ETH, and this one I didn't quite do 100%. I ended up doing just 77% so far. And it's one that you might famously remember from my video where I said I put half of everything I own into this crypto, and the crypto ended up being ETH. A lot of people made fun of me for that video because right after that video, literally the entire market ended up crashing, and ETH ended up going quite a bit lower from there. And since then, I've ended up putting a lot more into Ethereum. In fact, I've put around 90% of everything I own into Ethereum, with my overall thesis being that ETH is going to outperform the rest of the general market, and therefore it's a really good place for me to have all my capital stashed while I'm waiting for the next bull run. And while there were certainly, random projects that did better than ETH has so far in large ended up outperforming the rest of the market and has ended up being a pretty awesome place to have stashed a lot of my net worth during, this last bear market. And because of how much of my capital I'd put into ETH, even though it only went up 77%, I ended up making a ridiculous amount of money from that, from those gains, because I had so much of my capital allocated into ETH. And I strongly personally believe that during this next bull run, I'll see my ETH gains surpass over 500%. And again, all of this is just my personal opinion with my personal investments. And overall, even though all these gains have been great so far, I still strongly believe that it's early. I still strongly believe that the biggest gains are going to be had during the next bull run, and we're still firmly in the bear market currently. And in fact, it's completely possible, and I believe that we could see prices drop all the way back down to the bear market lows, and we could see them retest the bottom from here. That wouldn't surprise me and that wouldn't shock me. And if you want to hear more of my thoughts and stay up to date with the crypto space, I have a weekly podcast where I share different ideas, I bring on guests, I update on what's going on in the news and new crypto projects that are coming out. That's something that interests you. I have links in the description below for Apple, Spotify, etc. You can click the link, subscribe, and see, if it's something that piques your interest. And as always, none of this was investment advice. None of this was me telling you should buy any of these cryptos, or even suggesting that these cryptos are going to go to, certain levels or certain price levels. I don't know the future. I'm not a wizard. I can't predict what's going to happen. I'm doing my best. This is just my personal opinion. You should never copy trade a YouTuber. That is the worst way to invest. Do your own research. Figure it out on your own. Know what you're doing, or else you're going to lose money. Even if I make money, you can still lose money because of the way you're timing it. I've already made a lot of money on these things. Maybe you buy in on a pump or at the wrong time, and you sell at the wrong time, and you end up losing a lot of money. Timing is really, really important. Something could go up and then all the way back down. And if I buy at the bottom, sell at the top, and you buy at the top and sell at the bottom, I made a lot of money. You lost a lot of money. Please know what you're doing. Don't copy trade me. As always, if this video is helpful, make sure to hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments or any projects you think I should be looking at, let me know in the comments down below. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the little bell next to it to be notified each time I release a video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.